only gambling game show that takes betting seriously, but not much else. Get our favorite plays on the totals, sides, props, exotics, and futures to jump on now.
So let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Subject som kräver konståt kan så felina. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben.
Hey there, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Wanna Bet. We hope you have been tuning in regularly. We've been having a blast doing this show, putting our handicapping skills to use to try to make money for you. Yes, it's the gambling game show where we want the viewer to be the big winner. As always, Ben and I will have our three favorite plays of the day in first down, second down, and third down. Third down, our favorite play of the day. Third down, money down in the NFL. It's also the money down for us. We're looking at some NFL division props. We took you guys through our favorite plays in the AFC East yesterday. A lot of news in the AFC North. So today we'll take you through our favorite player and team futures plays that we've made in the AFC North. Obviously, the Steelers quite active. In overtime, we got a new feature for you, man versus machine. Ben and I have had the chance to dabble with Pine Sports and some of their AI technology, Pine, P-I-N-E Sports. They have an AI wagering tool called Jackson, J-A-X-O-N, that, and they've also just got so much data, spreadsheets. They can really help you work faster. Ben, I've been playing with Jackson for about a week. You got to dabble with Jackson for the first time yesterday. What did you think of Jackson?
It's very interesting. I recommend everybody to sign up for it using our code. I think it's especially even for like somebody who is very, advanced and has a lot of numbers, you still get more numbers than you have yourself. It helps with all that type of stuff. And if you're, leaning one way or the other, it's not to make your bet for you, but it does give you some stats here or there to say, all right, that might put me over the top to like this. So in this space, we know gambling, how hard it is. I think that the Jackson, which Pine created, is very, very helpful.
Yeah, it's pretty wild tool, whether you're a novice bettor or somebody who's doing this around the clock like Ben and I. So anyway, it's Pine Sports. You can go to their Twitter, go to their website, and our promo code is WB25, and it'll get you 25% off whichever package you pick. Beltway Ben, last night, using a little bit of Jackson, using our own intuition, we cashed for the people again. Please, can you show us the updated numbers there? So there you go. A 3-run home run hurt me there in the first inning of that A's-Rays game. Drew Rasmussen, as off as he's been all year, that's going to happen sometimes. But yeah, we were all over that Phillies matchup in a bunch of different ways. If you're on our Discord, go to my Twitter feed, go to Ben's Twitter feed. The link tree is right in our bio. 3-1 on the Discord for me last night. I also love the Phillies on the run line, that cash. So there you go. We are putting in the work. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we hope you've been tailing us because we're cashing, and we anticipate doing so again today. First down, Beltway Ben, where are you taking us?
Yeah, for the first down, we will go to the MLB, and it's a little parlay here. I'm going to go with the Rangers on the money line and the Dodgers on the money line at plus 110. DeGrom versus the Orioles, we saw what he did just a few nights ago. Took a perfect game into the 7th. And the Rangers lineup isn't good, but Brandon Young really isn't the guy that's holding offenses to 0 runs. And it's early on in his career, and even long-term, I don't see him being that type of guy to just shut down offenses. So with DeGrom on the mound, like, he's back. We are seeing the form that we saw when he was at his best, and we were talking about him being, one of the game's great pitchers. He's there, and against this Orioles lineup that strikes out a lot, I think we could see DeGrom dominate once again. And then the Dodgers on the money line, they get Yamamoto on the mound. You're facing Shane Smith, who we talked about. We talked about how good he had been. He's given up 10 earned runs over his last 2 starts. So I think we see him slow down a little bit, and he struggled a bit with walks. That's been his big issue. When you look at that Dodgers lineup, it's a ton of guys who draw a lot of walks and guys who pitchers do not want to pitch to. So I think we could see those struggles again on the road tonight in LA, which will be the toughest environment he's ever pitched in probably. So I like this parlay here at plus 110.
Yeah, I thought long and hard. I've been riding those Shane Smith first 5 unders, and I thought long and hard about doing it in this one. But I think I'm going to sit back and watch because he might be hitting the wall a little bit. That's a Rule 5 kid. That's a big jump. He's made me a lot of money already this year, so I'm probably going to stay off that one. If I do get on it, you can find it in the Discord. I'm in MLB on first down, Beltway Ben, and I'm going back to attacking the Padres in a way I did yesterday. I love Wheeler over 6.5 strikeouts yesterday, and he ended up getting 9, and he had 4 in the first 2 innings, and really could have had 5. And he was picking up 2 an inning. Now, Christopher Sanchez is not the strikeout pitcher that Zach Wheeler is, and I'm not intimating that he is. But the Padres are in a bad way right now offensively. You go back and you look at the Padres since May 15th, their offense is scuffling. They're not getting on base as much. They're swinging and missing more. They're expanding the zone. They're in some bad habits. They're not great against lefties. You look at them since May 15th, on the road against lefties, a 23% strikeout rate, which is about middle of the road for MLB, but it's bad by their standards. And look, Sanchez is going over this 4.5 with great regularity. He's in it in over 75% of his starts. He's averaging 7.4 strikeouts per game at home. He's over this in all of his home starts. His last 10 games overall, home or road, he's averaging 6.4 Ks per game. He went over this and got 5 Ks in his one previous start against the Padres. And as I pointed out yesterday, just go look at the Padres box scores, man. You're seeing a lot of 9s, 8s, 9, 9, 9 showing up in the strikeout total. And even the guys at the top of the order are some of the ones pressing the most right now. So I'm going to lean back into that trend and take Christopher Sanchez over 4.5 strikeouts against the Padres tonight. Second down, Ben.
Second down, we will be staying in the MLB, and I'm going to go with another parlay here. Just pretty simple. It's mostly the Yamamoto play over 17.5 outs recorded, but it had a lot of juice, so I added Brady Singer to strike 3 batters out to get us down to -150. Since June 1st, Chicago has a .619 OPS against right-handed pitching. That's the worst in baseball. Yamamoto is one of the best pitchers in the MLB. We got hosed the last time we took him on here. We took his strikeouts. He throws 54 pitches through 5 innings, was 1 strikeout away, and the rain delay hits, which screwed us. But we saw how good he was, and we saw, why he is being talked about as the NL Cy Young, probably the runner-up to Paul Skeens. But I still think Yamamoto are pretty good odds right now. But he's going to face, like I said, the Chicago bad offense. And then you look at Brady Singer, 3+ strikeouts in 14 of 16 starts this season. As I said, that's the toss-in. The main play here is Yamamoto over 17.5 outs recorded. For a bullpen that was hyped as much as the Dodgers was, it's really not been very good to me. And I don't think they want to go to it as early as they've had in a lot of games this year, just because starting pitching and the injuries they've dealt with, they've had to really dig into that bullpen a ton. Yamamoto is someone they can rely on to get deep into games, so I like him to give us 6 innings at least, and then add Singer 3+ Ks for -150.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what the Dodgers do at the deadline. I bet it's quite a bit. I think the Dodgers will be as active as anybody looking for arms, of all sorts and sizes. Second down, I'm going to the Gold Cup, that way, Ben, where we've been hitting a lot of plus money bets lately. Look, I'm trying to find value on this U.S.-Guatemala match. Like, this is a great draw for the U.S. It fell incredibly in their favor. Panama and Canada getting wiped out on penalties helped. And so if you just look at a lot of the standard markets, I don't like playing corner kick bets in general. But the U.S. is going to dominate possession. The U.S. is going to have the ball and be able to string together passes in the Guatemala half. And the U.S. is not that efficient scoring goals. Adjaman, the kid who's wearing the number 9, the target striker for them, is very inefficient. The goals are kind of coming out of the midfield when they come. A lot of them are on penalties. And so I think you're going to have a Guatemala team that is bunkered in. There's going to be a lot of bodies in the box. You've got an inexperienced U.S. team that's going to be firing from range. That's a lot of deflections. That leads to corners. I think the Guatemala keeper is going to be very busy. He's going to punch a ball or two over the post, over the crossbar. Those are corners. U.S. dribbling, losing possession, ball goes out, corner. If you just look at the last few matches, Guatemala, they only had 46% of the possession against a terrible Jamaican team, 32% of the possession against Panama. Guadalupe, another really bad team, they only had 46% of the possession there. And against Canada in the knockout match, until the red card from Canada in the 47th minute, Canada had over 72% of possession in the first half. That's going to lead to corners. You look at corners conceded in this tournament for Guatemala, like 9 in the last match. Like Guadalupe had 8, Jamaica had 7. And the U.S., honestly, their corners aren't great, and a lot of times the poor service off a corner leads to a ball being easily headed away by the other team's defense, back over the line for another corner. So, look, I think the U.S. is going to cover here. I'll probably have some more plays on that tomorrow. But at minus 110, I jumped into that, frankly, on the Discord yesterday afternoon. Third down, Beltway Ben.
Third down, I will be going back to the MLB as I have for the rest of the show, and I'm going to go with Rafael Devers over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He's 0 for his last 12, and he's hitless in 3 straight games, and we're getting him at minus 125, which is a steal to me. When you look against Gallen this year, and this is a contract year for Zach Gallen, everybody in the offseason was talking about how much money he's going to make next winter. Right now, it's not looking super good for him. He's given up 19 home runs this season. Lefties are slashing 312, 409, 495 against him. And it hasn't been any better at home where they're playing tonight. Like, it's on the road, he's been bad. At home, he's been bad. It's just, he doesn't look very good. And Devers has a hit off of him, so that's not a ton of familiarity, but he's 1 for 1. The Giants lineup has definitely sucked. They need Devers to get it going. But hitting around guys like Ramos, he should have some opportunity, right? When you get a guy in the 2 spot or the 3 spot, you're always in a decent, area for at least 1 RBI opportunity in the game. And Devers, again, is the type of guy that can hit the long ball. So I like him to go over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at minus 125.
Love it. Third down for me, we are staying in the Gold Cup, and we are laying the goal and a half with Mexico minus 105 against Honduras. Like, if you look at Honduras in this tournament when they played, like, to me, the teams that I would consider in the top 4 in this region right now in CONCACAF, like, they lost 6-0 to Canada. Panama, the result flattered them, but as I mentioned, they only had they had the ball less than a third of the time against Panama. Keeper stood on his head. He's done some amazing things in this tournament at times, but they're in over their head against Mexico. Mexico got the 2 goals we've been waiting for last match against Saudi Arabia, and frankly, their finishing still is not as clinical as it should be. We've seen Mexico dominate from set pieces at times in this tournament. I think they're going to have a height advantage against Honduras on the back line. They could score off a corner. They could score off a free kick. I still don't think we've seen Mexico have positive goal regression as much as they could. If you look at Mexico against Honduras all time, 13-7-4, score differential of 37-18. So basically 2-1. If you look at home matches, and when Mexico plays on U.S. soil against a team like Honduras, that is essentially a home game for them. Hell, a lot of times when Mexico plays against the U.S. on U.S. soil, traditionally, it's really been a home game for Mexico. Mexico is 10-1-2 against Honduras at home. Last 4 Mexico wins against Honduras, 4-0, 2-0, 4-0, 1-0. I think Mexico is reaching peak form. This is a great draw for Mexico, and I think Mexico could win this match 2-0 or 3-1. Either way, I like them to get the goal scoring back on form, to score at least 2 here, and to win by at least 2 goals. And at minus 105, I'm all over that. All right, Beltway Ben. 4th and long, this is when we talk about long shot bets or bets that you cannot cash for a long time. And as I mentioned, we're going around the divisions. Yesterday with Eric Casillas, we gave you a lot of plays we really like on the AFC East. And with the Steelers now getting both Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey, parting with Minkah Fitzpatrick, who obviously has been a little disgruntled there. They've still got the Watt situation to negotiate and figure out, but that's obviously very much in the news. And Aaron Rodgers can't shut his mouth, so he's always in the news, their new quarterback. We thought it'd be a great time to look at the AFC North. We're going to have a play on each team here. And Beltway Ben, what is standing out to you in the AFC North markets?
Yeah, I'll start with the Cleveland Browns, and I'm going to go with Joe Flacco here. I'm going to go with him to start week 1 for the Browns at plus 110. Now, you look at the quarterback room, right? Kenny Pickett is the second best odds, and it's pretty tight. It's a tight race between him and Flacco. Quite honestly, I don't think Pickett's there, and if he is, it's in backup form. You can't head into week 1 of the season with him as your starting quarterback. And again, personally, I don't think he's there week 1, but if he is the backup, and I guess they try to sneak one of the rookies on their practice squad, however they do it, but the rookies aren't ready. And Flacco has the experience, which I never thought. If you would have told me 7 years ago that Joe Flacco would be starting week one in the NFL right now in 2025, I would have told you you're crazy. But here we are. He continues to do it. And again, like, this isn't all season we need. This isn't 7 starts we need. We need him to start week one. And when you look at the 4 quarterbacks that they have that are competing for that spot and that the odds are on, I just don't see how it's not Joe Flacco in at least week one. If they want to sell tickets or do whatever they want, they might go a different way, but week one, you're going to get people there. Anyways, I just don't see how it's not Joe Flacco. At plus 110, it's too good for me to pass on. Next, we will go to the Ravens, where I'm going with Zay Flowers, 1,000+ yards. Again, this is another play at plus 135 that I just couldn't pass on, right? He did it last year. Since they started playing 17 games in 2021, around 25 receivers are breaking 1,000 yards per year. You don't think Zay Flowers is going to be in the top 25 receiving at full health? Like, I don't know what to tell you. We've heard Todd Monken just talk him up and down about how good he is. And he also probably hurt the Ravens a little bit in contract negotiations when he talks about being able to use him out of the backfield and getting him quick passes there and then saying, well, we hope we can't use that in contract negotiations. But again, that is the type of guy that they will use him and the type of player that he is. They can get him on easy passes. He's very good after the catch. So Zay Flowers, 1,000+ yards. He did it last year. And that was also in the final game of the season. He only played, the first half because he dealt with the injury. So I don't think 1,000 yards will be too hard for him to break. Next is Joe Burrow, 4,500 passing yards at plus 190. Like, the more we talk about it, the more you realize, wow, this defense is really going to be what it was last year, possibly worse. Like, there's no way the defense is any good, which means that offense is going to have to put up yards. He's over this in 2 of 5 seasons in the NFL. One of them he went under by 25 yards. I think he's going to be throwing the football all across the field. And last year he led the NFL, 4,900. 45 is all we need at plus 190. Too good for me to pass on. You got both wide receivers back. The offensive line has some question marks, but Joe Burrow is going to throw the football. And he's been relatively healthy over the past year, right? We know all the injuries he dealt with, but as the season went on, we saw him start feeling better and better. And he was talking a little bit better because he's been pretty honest when talking about the injury, which probably the team doesn't love. But again, I think he's in a better spot now. And then lastly, I hate to do this. I don't hate this guy as much as Jason does, but I am not a fan of him at all. Aaron Rodgers, 4,000+ regular season passing yards at plus 440. Now, it's the value. It's all in the plus 440. You know that Arthur Smith wants to run the football. However, Aaron Rodgers will tell Arthur Smith how they run things. Aaron Rodgers is going to be running that offense. He's going to check into what he wants. And when you look at it, like, he's gone over this a bunch. Last year, he finished 103 yards short. Now he gets DK Metcalf. They just went out and got one of the better tight ends last year in Jonnu Smith. I just think he's going to be throwing the football a ton. And he's went under in the last 3 years. One, of course, he missed a full season with injury. But before that, he went over in 4 straight years. Not the same guy at all. I'm not saying that. Green Bay was a completely different situation. He had a better offensive line situation. However, like, they're bringing him in to throw the football. This isn't Russ where it's going to be, yes, sir, I'm handing the football off. I don't care. Aaron Rodgers is going to do what he wants. And at plus 440, it's just too good of value. When I was looking through the odds, he's like the second best odds for 4,000+ passing yards. So it's too good to pass on for me. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers, 4,000+ passing yards at plus 440.
It's interesting. Ben and I don't compare notes. We do our own thing, and we don't, like, he knows what I took when I send it in the morning because he's building the graphics, because I don't know how to do that because he's way smarter than me. But it's not like we're talking about these at all. We do our own process. We do our own things. And I'm on all teams and he's on players, but it's odd because there's kind of like correlation between the way that we're seeing things. And I'm with you on Rodgers. Like, I think Rodgers goes over that number. 4,000 is not what it used to be by any stretch of the imagination. And look, when Mike Tomlin puts the entire offense on hold for 3 months to get Aaron Rodgers to come in, it's Aaron Rodgers' show. And they're adding weapons for Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, like, let's go with my Steelers bet. So I played the Steelers to finish second in the division, in part because I think, as much as I can't stand Aaron Rodgers, like, it's an upgrade over Russ Wilson and Justin Fields last year. Like, it just is. Like, you look at their assortment of pass catchers now, it is a better group. Jonnu Smith with Freiermuth is a whole different dimension now. Them having 2 tight ends who can catch the ball and those 2 body types on the field at the same time, as much as Rodgers likes to use the middle of the field, like, I think that's huge. Like, they upgraded at receiver. Like, they just did. And Pickens knew he wasn't long for that place. So now you bring Metcalf in and you make him feel good about it. Like, and you get him a veteran quarterback. Like, that's going to be better. getting Najee Harris out of there is addition by subtraction. Warren's the better runner. Warren's the more explosive guy. Warren needs to be utilized in space, and the old school 3 yards in a cloud of dust with Najee Harris was just getting in the way. Like, I think it's a decent offensive line. If they're remotely healthy on defense, forget about it. Like, this is the first time in a long time I look at their secondary, and I'm like, it might not be the weakness of the team. I know Watt's been breaking down, and when his brother started to break down, it became a problem. Like, we talked about the Bosa's yesterday with Buffalo. And like, I do think, that when a guy starts to go, he starts to go. But with the talent around him, with Tomlin and the defensive coaches in place there have had a lot of success. I think they know how to play their strengths. And they're always in it. If it was all these mercenaries and it was some young head coach who was in over his head, I would be like, that's not going to work. But Tomlin's been dealing with this kind of stuff forever. So I like the Steelers to finish second in that division. And if you're with me and you like that, then I would say also do what I do and sprinkle on exact order Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland. Because really it's second and third, right? Like, I guess maybe there's some people who think Cincinnati can catch Baltimore. I don't. Baltimore's more balanced. Like, Baltimore's special teams, which haven't been good, would have to cost them a whole bunch of games with a kid kicker and a bad punter. And then maybe that closes the gap. But I think the Ravens, on paper, are the best team in football. I think the Steelers can at least split with Cincinnati. And again, the Steelers have a better head coach. The Steelers are just better at not falling apart. I think the Steelers' chemistry, even with Rodgers, could be better than Cincinnati, where they always start slow. They still got the Hendrickson thing to work out. And Cincinnati's defense is just horrible with Hendrickson or without him. They haven't done nearly enough to upgrade it. And I think everybody thinks Cleveland's bringing up the rear. I mean, a lot of people think Cleveland, and we'll just go there now. Like, a lot of people think Cleveland could compete with the Saints, as I do, for the fewest wins in football, Beltway, Ben. So, like, I'm going to wait for Cleveland to play them to be the last team to win a game. I have not seen this populated yet. I keep searching. It will populate. The last undefeated team and the longest winless team, those odds will formulate. And while the Saints team total is under the Browns, I think the Saints' first 7 or 8 weeks, I see more winnable games than I see for the Browns. So I think the Browns could be 0-7 and the last team to win a game. If you're itching to do something on them right now, you could still play them like under 3.5 wins or something like that, which I've also dabbled with. That brings us to the Bengals. Well, if you're with me and you think the Steelers might be better than them, are 3 teams from this division going this year with the AFC West looking a little bit better? I don't think so. So plus money on the Bengals to miss the playoffs. Again, it's a coach who's been in some hot water. It's an owner who traditionally can't get out of his own way. They're building a team in the modern era where offenses are more prolific than ever that can't stop anybody. And we saw the Bengals lose, 5-6 games last year when they scored over 30 points. And with the traditional slow starts, I just, if you're making me bet them to make it for no money or miss for this value, I'm going to say a team that often misses will miss. And then with the Ravens, we did the exercise yesterday with our favorite Super Bowl bets. You, me, and EK all had the Ravens in the Super Bowl from the AFC. Doesn't mean we're right. Hell, it might be the kiss of death, but we're all bullish on the Ravens. It's not a hellacious schedule for them. If they can survive the first 6 weeks and go 4-2, I think it sets up really well for them later in the season. Hardball teams generally get better later through the season anyway. Like that, it might take them some time to sort out the kicker thing. If the rookie Loop isn't ready, big Looper. If he's not, they'll address it during their bye week. But I think the Ravens could go to the Super Bowl, and if they do, well, we're going to cash.
Before we got to
Before
we got to overtime, I did want to ask you, right? We talked about the Steelers, and we didn't fully get into the trade yet. After that trade, so we did these odds, right? And the trade, of course, comes the day before, which was perfect timing. So we were kind of talking about new stuff. After adding Jonnu Smith, who's going to be versatile, and they can use him in a bunch of different ways. And then they add Jalen Ramsey. Everybody makes a thing about Minkah Fitzpatrick, but Ramsey's probably going to line up at safety a little bit. He's going to play outside corner. He's going to play slot corner. He'll do it all. How do you feel about that trade, and do you think that realistically takes them to a true contender?
Well, I think it takes them to enough of a contender that I think they're more balanced than Cincinnati. the last stand thing sometimes scares me, but like Rodgers is now 2 years removed from the Achilles, and I think he'll be better this year. I know he'll start better this year. I think he's going to let it all hang out because he knows this is it. I do think the Jonnu Smith thing is a big deal. Like, he's not just a throw-in. Like, the trade got made because he's in it. Freiermuth is a plow horse. This guy is a little bit more of a matchup nightmare, and having those two on the field at the same time, I think will open things up. I mean, you just look at the assortment of body types that they have now. Like, I find it pretty interesting. They have 4 different guys they could throw in the slot who I think Rodgers will enjoy throwing the ball to them. I think Metcalf in the slot on one side, Jonnu Smith in the slot on the other side could be problematic. Like, I do think they'll run the ball more explosively, so therefore more efficiently, which will help them. I think this force feeding of Najee Harris the last few years bogged them down and slowed them down. It killed them on first down. I think Aaron Rodgers, to your point with the 4,000 yards, like Aaron Rodgers is going to be looking for high percentage throws on first down. I think Warren is an interesting guy. How many balls does Warren catch? Like, I bet Warren goes, I haven't looked, but whatever that total is for receptions and receiving yards, I bet he goes over, and I bet he's a monster yards after the catch. So, yeah, and I also think, like, there's guardrails there for Aaron Rodgers. Like, he can't get away with the crap he got away with Woody Johnson and his kids, being the buffoons as owners that they've been. Like, Jets ownership has been a problem forever. Like, this is the Rooney family. This is Mike Tomlin. Like, I think Aaron Rodgers for 1 year can turn on his Eddie Haskell, and be, at least outwardly project a better self of him than we've seen. So, yeah, I think the trade is significant for them, and it caps, a pursuit. They've been pursuing Jonnu Smith for a while. They've been trying to get Minkah somewhere where maybe he'll be less of a headache for them. They know what they're getting in Ramsey, but let's be real. This is 1 year. You know what I mean? This is about 1 year. It's not about managing Jalen Ramsey the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I fully agree.
All right, overtime, and this brings us to our friends from Pine Sports, who, again, as we told you at the top of the show, they've got an AI wagering tool, basically a chat bot that is backed up by data that you can't easily find yourself, or in some cases, data you can find for yourself, but it's completely synthesized. There are spreadsheets already made for you available if you want to look at certain prop markets and what their model favors. There is, you can start building your own model and your own algorithm, weighing certain metrics that you have found traditionally help you with your handicapping. It's pretty amazing. And Beltway, Ben, and I are on board. We're using it. It's helping us with our caps. And, but this is still a situation where we talk about self-scouting. We talk about knowing ourselves. We talk about what works for us. We're not going to agree with every single thing that Jackson, this AI tool, would propose when you type in, hey, Jackson, what are your 3 favorite plays in this game? Hey, Jackson, what are your favorite over-unders for the day based on ballpark factors, weather, the latest injury reports, managerial, does this manager have a short leash or not? And you can put all that in. So we're going to have a feature here we do in overtime sometimes now, man versus machine. And we each found an aspect of a game where we differed with Jackson. Ben, do you have the graphics to put up, and you can take us through what you liked that Jackson didn't like so much, why you went there, and how we're doing man versus machine?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm going with the Mets, right? Jackson is on the Brewers, and it's big because of the value with how the Mets are playing. Getting the Brewers a plus money, as bad as the Mets have been, right? Won 3 of their last 10, and their offense has not been very good. But the big reason that I am on the Mets, one, you get Clay Holmes. With all the injuries that the Mets are dealing with, starting pitching is terrifying to bet with them right now. But we get Clay Holmes, who's been solid at home, right? 3.13 ERA. They've won 6 of his 8 home starts. And the big thing here, Freddie Peralta. Go look at what he's doing on the road compared to, in Milwaukee. It's completely different. And Freddie Peralta is a guy that a lot of these players have seen, right? This isn't, a new starter or somebody they got to used to. He's got a 4.02 ERA on the road, and he's given up 9 home runs away from home compared to just 3 at home. And it's eight starts at home, 9 on the road. He's given up 6 more home runs. So it's pretty clear that his struggles on the road are there. And again, I just think with the way the Mets are playing, they have got to start winning games. I said it last week, and we went 1-1 with our Mets play, but we need them to start picking it up, or they need to start picking it up if they want to win that division. So I like the Mets on the money line at -124. Jackson is a fan of the Brewers at plus money, so that'll be a fun one to watch. What do you have?
Yeah, I am on the over in the Tigers-Nats game. Now, I played it, gave it out at the Discord at over 9. Jackson, one of his favorite plays in that matchup tonight is under 9.5. And he focused, I say whatever it is, Jackson, the bot focused on some of the oscillation in these hitting numbers, how streaky Washington's offense has been. And Jackson seems to think that our old buddy General Soreness, Flaherty, Beltway Ben, can handle that lineup. I would disagree. First of all, the Nats are hot. The Nats are 6-2-1 to the over in their last 9 games. They've scored 56 runs in that span. So we can talk about who they beat up on, and some of it is really bad pitching. But Flaherty has a 5.26 ERA his last 7 games. He has a 6.17 ERA on the road this season, and league batting .272 off him. The month of June, 6.84 ERA. His back has been a problem in the past. There's a reason why, with all his great numbers, as a UFA, he had to go back to the Tigers a little bit with his tail between his legs because I think a lot of people thought some of his recent success was a little bit fugazi. You want to look at the Tigers? They're 26-15 on the season to the over on the road. They're 13-7 to the over on the road as a favorite. They're 7-3 to the over their last 10 on the road, and they're facing Trevor Williams, who we love to beat up on, Beltway Ben. The league batting .292 off Trevor Williams in Nats Park, 5.65 ERA. That balloons to 5.89 at home. Rogers has allowed 52 hits and 44 1/3 innings pitched at home, and that Tigers lineup, the sum is better than the collective is better than you would think each individual is put together. They've been mashing the ball pretty good lately, so I think we got potential to go over there. So look, that's our show. Beltway Ben, can you put back up the graphic from where we are this season though, and how we did last night again?
Yep. 1 second.
Yep. So there you go. We're keeping track. Our goal here is to make money for you guys. We want this to be the only game show where the winner is the viewer. We're not going to hit every bet, but if we're onto something and it aligns with where you're thinking, we'd love to help you with your research and help edify your plays. You can check us out on our Discord, again, with Eric Casillas and the other handicappers who are joining in as well. You can find that on our link tree. We will be back again tomorrow. It's a Wednesday, so we'll have a few plays on the PLL. It's their all-star game, so we've got some futures that we like there. We'll be back on the Gold Cup. We'll be back on MLB. Mizorowski on the mound tomorrow for the Brewers. The Wunderkind might have some plays on him. Maybe some WNBA as well, and maybe even the CFL. You'll have to tune in to WannaBet tomorrow to find out.